Most people think aging means losing strength, getting stiff, and eventually losing your independence, but that's a lie. It doesn't have to be this way. I'm 46 years old, and these next 7 exercises are the ones I use on myself and the ones we use with our clients, men and women, ranging from people in their 30s, 40s, all the way into their 70s, who all walk away moving better and feeling better than people half their age. So in this video, I'm going to show you these 7 movements backed by science that literally reverse aging, starting with the first exercise is going to be the bar hang, where you rebuild the shoulders, decompress the spine, and rewire your grip. So hanging decompresses your spine, rebuilds your shoulders, and trains grip strength. And grip strength isn't just about opening jars. Researchers literally use it as a biomarker for longevity. Now, you don't just want to use bar hangs to train your grip. That's just going to happen over the course of you doing strength training. But for everything else, it's quite handy. Now, if you're a beginner, use a chair to support some of your weight. So if I was hanging right here, I'd have a chair underneath. Now, when you're doing this, you're going to let your shoulders gently open up and just accumulate time. And you're going to start with about 5 to 10 second increments. Now, if you're an intermediate, it's going to be a full dead hang, at least 20 to 60 seconds, keeping the ribs down, neck long, and building up to 2 minutes a day. Now, if you're advanced, we want to work up to 3 minutes a day across multiple variations, things like mixed grips, things like scapular pulls, even things like one-arm hangs. And the 2018 BMJ study showed that low grip strength is one of the strongest predictors of early death, linked to heart disease, cancer, and all-cause mortality. Now, I had a client, Mark, who was 52. He started with a 5-second assisted hang. Within weeks, he was at a 30-second unassisted hang. And he told us that his shoulders have not felt this free in 20 years. So when you hang daily, you'll decompress your spine, strengthen your shoulders, and literally grip more life. Exercise number 2 is Japanese interval walking, and I talked about it on this video over here. Japanese interval walking, or the IWT, is quietly one of the most effective protocols for reversing cardiovascular aging. Your VO2 max, which is your cardiovascular fitness, it drops about 10% per decade after the age of 30. That decline is one of the biggest predictors of how long you'll live and how well. The IWT was developed in Japan by Dr. Hiroshi Noze. The protocol is simple: 3 minutes of fast walking at about 70% of effort and 3 minutes of slow walking. Repeat for 30 minutes a day, 4 days a week. If you're a beginner, you can start with 2 minutes fast, 3 minutes slow. If you're intermediate, you can run the full 3 and 3 protocol for 30 minutes. If you're advanced, you can do it on an incline, or you can add a weighted vest or a rucksack, and that's how I like to do it. And the original study showed that adults over 60 doing the IWT improved their VO2 max, their leg strength, their blood pressure by all significant margins, more than people who were doing steady state walking in just 5 months. And one of our clients, David, he was a busy entrepreneur. He was 47. He couldn't make it through his Saturday hike without his calves cramping. And after 8 weeks of doing the IWT, he sent me a video of himself at the top of his mountain with his kids. Now, the takeaway is that your cardio is your longevity base, and the IWT is the lowest friction way to rebuild it. Now, exercise number 3 is the Asian squat, and this is owning the human resting position. Now, this isn't a gym exercise, it's a human resting position. If you lose it, you lose ankle mobility, hip function, spinal health, and eventually your independence. And if you're a beginner, you're going to hold a door frame or a couch for support, making sure that we're elevating our heels on a couple of books or a small plate. We want to accumulate to about 2 to 5 minutes per day. If you're an intermediate, we're going to squat unassisted, chest tall, get comfortable down here, and we're going to aim for about 5 to 10 minutes a day, broken up across the entire day. And if you're advanced, you can explore different stances. You can go wider, asymmetric, you can start reaching overhead. The goal is the squat becomes your natural resting position. Now, this exercise is also a precursor to the sitting and rising test from a 2012 study in the European Journal of Preventative Cardiology, which showed that people who struggle to sit down and rise from the floor are 5 times more likely to die within the next 6 years. Now, one of our clients, Pamela, has not been able to sit in a deep squat for decades, and after a couple of months of training, she's able to do this with no issues whatsoever. I remember her messaging us and crying with joy. Now, you have to understand that this squat is not optional. It is literal survival training, and it's a signal for how old you are. So I'm going to talk more about why these 2 exercises matter even more after 50, and that's going to come up in step 6. Exercise number 4 is called the world's greatest stretch. And this is one movement that hits every joint that ages you. It's called the world's greatest stretch for a reason. In one flow, you're hitting your hips, your T-spine, your ankles, your calves, your shoulders. These are all the joints that lock down first as you age, and stiffness in any of them shows up everywhere else on your body. If you're a beginner, walk through the positions slowly, hold each one for 2 breaths, and don't do the rotation yet. If you're intermediate, run the full flow with the T-spine rotation doing 3 reps per side. And if you're advanced, add an overhead reach or hold a light weight in the rotation hand. Now, why is this important? Because hip mobility alone is one of the biggest predictors of fall risk in older adults, and falls are the second leading cause of accidental death worldwide. One of our clients, Sharon, couldn't bend down to tie her shoes without her lower back screaming. She added the world's greatest stretch to her morning routine, and 3 weeks later, no back pain in the morning. So if you only have 5 minutes a day for mobility, this is the single movement that keeps all of your aging joints alive. Number 5 is foundational, and that is Zone 2 cardio. This is the type of protocol that builds the actual engine for longevity. So inside every one of your cells are these little tiny energy factories called mitochondria. And as you age, they shrink in number and quality. That decline is one of the core mechanisms of aging itself. The single most effective way to reverse it? Zone 2 cardio. And Zone 2 just means that you're at a pace where you can hold a conversation, but it's slightly labored. Your heart rate should sit around 60 to 70% of your max. This is the protocol that doctors like to use with elite athletes and longevity clients. And if you're a beginner, 3 brisk 30-minute walks a week. You can use the Japanese IWT that I just mentioned. If you're intermediate, you could do 4 45-minute sessions. You can mix walking, cycling, easy rowing, things of that nature. If you're advanced, 4 60-minute sessions, ideally with a heart rate monitor so you can stay in your zone. And personally, I like to do my Zone 2 cardio when I am actually doing other things in my life so it doesn't take up too much time. So I'll sit on the exercise bike when I'm watching videos or doing some form of light work like answering emails. Or I'll be walking at a brisk pace using my under-the-desk treadmill, and I'll do this while holding meetings, listening to podcasts, or doing things again of light nature. Now, a 2018 JAMA study found that low cardiorespiratory fitness was a stronger predictor of early death than smoking, diabetes, or heart disease. And you have to understand that your cardio fitness predicts your lifespan more accurately than whether you smoke or not. And one of our clients, Kevin, he runs a tech company. He was 51, but he couldn't keep up with his teenage son on hikes, and he added 3 Zone 2 sessions a week. 4 months later, he's the one that is actually waiting at the top. And Zone 2 is your cardiovascular base that everything else sits on. And if you skip it, then the rest of your training has a ceiling. Number 6 is plyometrics, because the first thing to go when you age is your fast twitch muscle fibers. And here's something that most people don't know. Strength declines slowly with age, but power, that is strength multiplied by speed, declines almost twice as fast, about 3 to 4% per year after 40. Now you have to understand that power is what keeps you from falling. And when you do trip, power is what lets you catch yourself before you go down. And there are 3 levels of plyos, and you should make sure to match your level to where your body is. So the first one is beginner, and we want to start with low impact exercises, things like ankle pogos, calf jumps, lion hops. We want to make this light, and the ground barely makes a sound when we impact it. Now for intermediate levels, we want to do something more moderate, things like broad jumps, skater bounds, or even box jumps at a low height. And what you're doing is you're learning to absorb force. Now, if you're more advanced, then we want to do things like depth jumps, bounding, single leg hops. Now what we're doing is we're training the nervous system to produce force fast. And the research on this is crazy. Power loss in older adults is the single biggest predictor of fall-related death, bigger than strength loss, bigger than balance. And one of our clients, Robert, he was 58. Unfortunately, he fell on a ski trip and he couldn't get up without help. It scared the out of him. So we started him on low impact plyos, and 6 months later, he's hitting box jumps. And he told me that he hasn't felt this athletic since college. Now you have to understand that strength keeps you alive, but power is what keeps you young. Now, number 7 is loaded carries. And if I had to pick one exercise to do for the rest of my life, this would be it. Carries train your muscular endurance, your grip, your core, your posture, your breathing, and your full body structural integrity all in one movement. And this exercise closely mimics real life. It's carrying your groceries or your luggage, carrying your kid, moving your furniture. This is the strength that actually shows up when life demands it. And if you're a beginner, then suitcase carry, 1 kettlebell on one hand, 30 seconds per side, stand tall, don't lean. If you're intermediate, then we want to do the farmer's carry using both hands with a heavier load, 60 seconds. And if you're advanced, we want to do heavy farmer carries, your body weight done at least for 1 minute. And we want to also try out overhead carries, mixed grip variations, just to make it harder on yourself. So Dr. Stuart McGill, one of the world's leading spine researchers, called loaded carries one of the single best exercises for spinal stability and core integrity. It trains your body the way it was designed to be used. And one of our clients, Lisa, she came to me because she wanted to be able to carry her own suitcase through the airport and put it up into one of those baggage bins without help. So we worked her up, and now she's actually carrying her grandkids on her shoulders. It's crazy. What you have to understand about carries is that they train everything you actually need to stay strong, especially as you age. Now, these 7 exercises are not fitness hacks. They are human non-negotiables. And I've watched this happen with thousands of clients that when they take these 7 exercises seriously, they start to feel way better than their age shows. And movement doesn't just slow aging, it reverses it. And I'm 46 right now, and I plan on being way more capable at 64 than I am right now. And these 7 exercises are how I'm going to do it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.